Hi everyone, and welcome to the MFT YouTube channel. It's Karolyn here, and as promised earlier this month, I'm back with another process video featuring the new Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics. As I've now made a few of these cards, I have even more helpful tips and ideas to help you make some Peek-a-Boo Wheel cards yourself. So let's get started, shall we? I start out by die cutting the large pink circle from some text weight printer paper as well as some smooth white cardstock. I'm folding the printer paper die cut in half and then in half again to create quarter sections. Then I'll use my scissors to snip off the corners of each quarter. What I found with these Peek-a-Boo wheel cards is that it takes a little bit of planning. So this temporary wheel is a great help in figuring out where my stamped images will go. As I was doing this, it occurred to me that I could make several templates like this, but out of some acetate, one for each of the apertures included in the Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics. And then I could use them over and over again. Something to think about and try for next time. I'll place the printer paper die cut on top of the smooth white die cut, and I'm placing my brad into the center hole to hold the two in place. Those 4 triangle cutouts are where I'll stamp my directional prompt. In this case, the word turn. I decided not to use a corresponding arrow this time because the images aren't in any particular order. The interactive label stamp set is a must-have for these and any other interactive cards. I'm stamping the word turn in each of the 4 triangle areas in black licorice hybrid ink. I'm using hybrid ink because I'm going to do a bit of ink blending on the Peek-a-Boo wheel, and I fear that because the distress inks are wet, they'd cause a dye ink to bleed. Again, this is where some planning in advance helps avoid a few pitfalls. My card today has 4 areas that I'll be stamping images, hence the 4 directional prompts. But the Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics are so versatile that you could stamp any number of images on your wheel and still be okay. Heck, you could stamp all over the wheel if you want to. The possibilities are endless. Okay, we're going to set aside our wheel for now and focus on the main image panel. I love building scenes for these kinds of cards. So we're going to build a wintry scene today using the new Beary Best Friend stamp set and coordinating dies. I've placed some masking tape on my smooth white image panel so that I have an area that measures 2.5 inches. I'm using 3 different distress inks to create my wintry water: Mermaid Lagoon, Salty Ocean, and Blueprint Sketch. And then I'll carefully remove that masking tape to reveal my waterline. And here's where the planning comes into play. I'm placing my Peek-a-Boo wheel on my card base with the printer paper template on top. I want to position the wheel so that my stamped images will appear beneath the water. Once I have the wheel where I want it, I'll mark the center hole onto the image panel with a pencil. I've got my directional prompt parallel to the panel edge, and I'll place the circle die from the Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics into the corresponding area of the template to the left of that directional prompt. And then I'll use my paper piercer to poke the hole that I previously marked. You could also use a 1/16 inch hole punch for this too. Once I've die cut that circle aperture from the printer paper template, I'm placing the template back onto the image panel and I'll secure it with my brad. I'll slip that circle die back into place on the template, and I'll trace the inside of that die onto the image panel. I'll remove the template, secure the die with a piece of washi tape, and die cut it off camera. Now I can secure the wheel die cut back onto the front of the image panel, and I'll position the notch die from the Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics on the right edge of the panel. Once I have the die secured with washi tape, I can remove the wheel and die cut the notch off camera. Then I can remove the notch die and die cut my outside edge using the largest of the rectangle dies from the A2 Rectangle Stacks Set 2 Die-namics. I recommend die cutting the notch first so that when you cut the outside edge, that'll eliminate any embossing left behind from the aligning guides on that notch die. Okay, let's work on our scene a little bit more. I've placed another piece of masking tape over the previously inked water area, and I'm using the Drifts and Hills stencil and some Tumble Glass distress ink to create some snowdrifts. What's a wintry scene without some snowdrifts, right? I'm just shifting the stencil from side to side to create some variation in my drifts, and I'm adding a very light application of Tumble Glass to give just a hint of shadow on the drifts. And for some added detail and texture, I'm adding some snowflake paste to the panel using the Snowfall stencil. This snowflake paste has just a hint of sparkle to it, and the texture is so lifelike when it dries, which takes about 5 minutes. I'll lift that stencil and set the panel aside to dry. Now that the snowflake paste is dried, I can secure the wheel die cut to the back of the image panel with the brad. And before I do any stamping, I want to make sure that the directional turn prompt is exposed in the notch area. This will ensure that I'm stamping in the right place. I've chosen 4 fun images from the Secret Santa stamp set, and I'll stamp each of them in the circle aperture with black licorice hybrid ink. I stamp the first image and then turn the wheel to reveal the next open area, again making sure that the directional prompt is exposed on the notch area. Since I'm stamping images rather than words, it's not important to me that the images be in any certain order. However, if you're stamping words in your aperture area, you're going to want to make sure that you stamp them in reverse order so that when you turn the wheel, the words appear in the correct order. I apologize for any confusion that this might have caused in my last Peek-a-Boo Wheel video. I'm learning right along with all of you, so I hope you understand. Okay, now I want to duplicate the ink blending on the Peek-a-Boo Wheel that I did on the image panel. So I stamped the images onto some light tack masking paper, trimmed them out with my scissors, and I'm adhering them to the images on the wheel. It seems like a lot of fussing, but I promise every bit of energy and effort you put into the details of your card will totally pay off in the end. So once again, I'm applying some distress ink to the wheel die cut. First, some Mermaid Lagoon, and then some Salty Ocean. I decided against adding the Blueprint Sketch distress ink since the water near the aperture is lighter than the outside edges. And then once I'm done ink blending, I carefully remove those masks with my tweezers. I can use these masks again, so I'll just adhere them to the stamp set for future use. And to spare you all from the pain of watching me color, I've colored the images off camera with my Copic markers. Watching me ink blend was painful enough. You're welcome. So we can finally start assembling our card. I've secured the wheel die cut to the back of the image panel with my brad, and you'll notice that I chose a brad to match the water. But honestly, the color of the brad doesn't matter, since my images will cover the brad. I stamped, colored, and die cut the fishing bear, iceberg, and fish from the Beary Best Friends stamp set, and I'm adhering them to the image panel using foam squares. And then I'll adhere the image panel to an A2 top folding card base made from smooth white cardstock with more foam squares. I stamped one of the sentiments from the Beary Best Friends stamp set onto some red hot cardstock using Sweet Tooth pigment ink, and then I heat embossed it with white embossing powder. I die cut it using the Slanted Sentiment Strips Die-namics, and I've adhered it to the image panel using more foam squares. And for one last final detail, I die cut some little hearts from some red hot cardstock using the Tag Builder Blueprints 5 Die-namics. I'm adhering 3 of them just above the fish with some liquid adhesive, and then I'll cover them with more liquid adhesive to give them a glossy finish. Cute, right? One of my favorite things about making cards is the idea that I can animate my cards any way I want. Who's to say that fish don't blow heart bubbles, or that polar bears can't fish for chocolate chip cookies? It's my fantasy world, and no one can take that away from me. And there you have it, another Peek-a-Boo Wheel card in the books. These dies are super versatile and can be used with many of our new and previously released stamp sets. I hope you enjoyed watching my video today, and that you'll be trying the new Peek-a-Boo Wheel Die-namics out for yourself. Be sure and check out the other videos on the MFT YouTube channel for more great content. And until next time, have a fabulous day.